One of my earliest memories was thinking about the Big Bang, specifically thinking about what it was like before the Big Bang. Just an infinite, indefinite void of nothingness. And the question hit me, why does anything even exist at all? Why why is there an impulse for thingness to even exist? Because it seems to me that it really should just be infinite nothing, but it's not. We live in a world, we're conscious. So what's going on here? Uh my whole life has been kind of revolving around this question, just this great why. What's even the point? Why is existence? Okay, and this presentation is not going to answer that question, but it may give us a metaphysical ground to stand on to see what the hell is even going on here. All right, so this is the code behind the Matrix, the seven Hermetic Principles. So we've got mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. Okay? So we're going to start with mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental. Okay, everything is conscious, okay? There there isn't like unconscious material things are just consciousness at a lower level, which we'll get more into in the principle of vibration. But we live in a matrix of consciousness, okay? What you see in the universe is ultimately a reflection of yourself. So uh, if you want to be able to perceive reality at a deeper level, you have to go deep into yourself. You have to understand your own inner universe, okay? Which we're going to get into right now in the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. And I mean, it's what it says. What is above is the same as what is below. This is the pentagram here, and the human body mapped onto the pentagram, and we have the five elements here. These five elements are ubiquitous throughout the universe and within yourself. So, I mean, we think of these as physical things, right? Except for spirit. But we think of these as physical things, but really they are mental and spiritual. And they reflect all the way up and down, okay? Here we have a plasmoid. This is a very small, like, ball of energy here, which just generates a smaller, like, autonomous ball of energy here, which orbits around it, right? Which is very similar to how our solar system is organized. We have a large ball of energy in the center, and then smaller little autonomous balls sort of generate around it. Okay, so we see how on the macrocosmic scale, it reflects the microcosmic scale. Okay, so the microcosm is the macrocosm. Here we have the golden ratio. So this is you find this everywhere. You find this everywhere. Okay, everywhere you look, you find the golden ratio, and it's because the form is ubiquitous. It's you you can look at the patterns. Okay, you can look at the patterns and relationships of reality and apply it to other similar patterns on different planes. Okay. This is a picture of Baphomet. You can see he's doing the hand signal as above, so below. You can't see it, but on his arms it says "Solve it coagula," which is just alchemy for transmutation. Okay, transmutation of energy, which we're gonna get into. The next principle is the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Okay, and this is here we have the planes of correspondence. So, the spiritual level is at the highest level of vibration. Okay, this is which is ultimately everything is vibration. Everything is spiritual. Okay, but we just make these demarcations because we live like we live right in the middle. We live on the physical plane and the mental plane and the spiritual plane. But the goal is to raise physical vibrations through mental vibrations into spiritual vibrations. But ultimately, they all reflect each other, okay? Here we have Heraclitus. This is the guy who said, "No man steps in the same river twice," which is true. The everything is always flowing, okay? It's all transmuting. Okay, nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. Transmutation, transformation is the rule. You have to go with the flow, okay? All right. Next we have the principle of polarity, okay? Everything is dual. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. This is the important part. Opposites are identical in nature but different in degree, okay? So you have hate and love. These are opposites, but ultimately they're made out of the same stuff. It's all made out of love, okay? So hate is really just the opposite of love, but it's the same thing. So what you can do is we can confront the shadow, which is going to be over here on the dark side, on the lower planes, the lower levels. We're gonna use our conscious light to confront the shadow. We're going to transmute hate into love by bringing love into hate, and in doing so, this is going to gradually bring itself up to love. You're going to become more loving by confronting hate with love. Confront despair with bliss, okay? You can always transmute this. Confront ignorance with wisdom. If you're ignorant, you have to find the wisdom, bring the wisdom into the ignorance, and eventually it'll bring itself up, okay? This is just how it works. So anyone who has achieved any degree of mastery over themselves has done this, okay? All right, we're going to move on to the next one. This is the principle of rhythm. Okay, everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. I love this one. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. Okay, so we have day and night. This one's very, very obvious. In the day, everything's great. Look, things are growing. All right, the grass is photosynthesizing. It's nice and warm outside. But then you have the night, and the night is when it gets dangerous. Okay, the things that go bump in the night, the monsters come out, and you have to stay on the lookout and be vigilant. The grass isn't growing, it's like sleeping. Everything is sleeping, okay? So you have waking consciousness and like sleeping consciousness. So if you're in a bad state, if you're in the night, you have to remember that the day always follows the night, okay? So it's not going to be like this forever. But the same is true on the day side. The day isn't going to last forever either. It has to fall into the night. So here we have the three gods of Hinduism, okay? Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Brahma is the creator. This is the Big Bang, okay? Big, massive creation. Here we can see it's created. Boom. Vishnu is the sustainer. He's the guy in the middle, okay? He makes sure that the creation it remains in a sustainable pattern, okay? So he's like here at the top of the pattern. He makes sure it stays, but it can't stay that way forever because Shiva comes along and he destroys, he collapses the pattern, okay? He collapses creation. But the creation always follows back. So we go from Brahma to Vishnu to Shiva back to Brahma again. It's a big cycle, okay? Everything is in a cycle. So you have to understand your own rhythms. This manifests on all planes, okay? Just like all the principles. You have to understand your own rhythms. Understand that your night is followed by the day, which is followed by the night, okay? And you have to not let yourself backslide mentally into the night because it's not going to be like this forever. This is what happens every time when shit gets tough and you're feeling really bad. It just seems like this is all there is, and it's never going to get better. And this happens every time to me. I struggle with this too. But you have to remember that the day always follows the night, okay? All right. The next principle is the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for a law not recognized. So, right here, everything happens for a reason. Nothing is causeless, and no cause has no effect, okay? So, you have to think about what you're thinking about, because what thought precedes action. What you think about is going to manifest in your actions and in the actions of others. So this is also Newton's third law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and the opposite part is reminiscent of the principle of rhythm. Okay, and also polarity. So the opposites go in there, but every action has an equal reaction. Basically, you can't have one without the other. You can't. Well, anyways, you just know that everything goes according to law. Nothing is outside of the law of the universe, okay? We live in a cosmos, not a chaos. All right. So just be conscious of your thoughts, all right? The next principle is the principle of gender, okay? This is my favorite one. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. So gender is not sex. Gender is not physical sex like male and female, okay? Though that's just the manifestation of gender on the physical plane. Gender is way broader than that. Gender is generation, okay? Gender is how things are created in the first place, okay? So here we have the Tao, okay? We can see that in the feminine, there is the masculine. And in the masculine, there is the feminine. And it even goes further down. In the masculine is the feminine ad infinitum. Okay, you can see it goes all the way down. And this is like the flow of reality, the flow of creation. Here we have a mountain and a valley. Okay, the mountain would be the masculine principle. The valley is the feminine principle. Okay. The mountain provides water for the valley. The mountain catches the water and it melts down into the valley where all the life is. Okay, this is where you grow the crops. This is where you want to live. Okay, so but you can't have one without the other. The valley does not exist without the mountain. It would just be a flat plain, and mountain always has to have a valley. So you can't have one without the other. Here we have a magnet. Very simple. When the opposites are united, when you have the sacred marriage of positive and negative, you get an electromagnetic field. Okay, it generates an aura, if you will, of energy, which it would not otherwise if these were not united. All right, this is back to Hinduism. Okay, this is Shiva and this is Shakti. Okay, so we have the sacred marriage of logos and eros, okay, logic and emotion. This is consciousness and energy, okay, Shiva and Shakti. And ultimately, you have to understand that they are ultimately one. But in order for creation to happen, they are separated. The masculine and feminine come together, and they generate more things, okay? And everything is united through gender. All right. So, in conclusion, you ultimately have to become the master of your microcosm, because what you see is a reflection of yourself, correspondence. All right? And in order to understand what's going on here, you ultimately have to understand yourself. So, integrate these principles into your life and master it. You could master your life. You can achieve your desires because you are literally a god experiencing the limitations of human form on the physical plane, okay? This is like, this is a little going a bit off track here, but this is like the training ground for gods, okay? So the goal is to become conscious of this, become conscious of your own reality, and you can realize your deepest soul's desires, okay? This is ultimately what's going to happen. You just always just trust the process. And of course, I source all of this from the Kybalion. You really should read it if you want to experience some more deeper insights here, because this was just a very general overview. Okay, not very effective at giving you a deep understanding. But this is why I'm doing this. Okay, become the master of your microcosm, so that you can resonate with the macrocosm and unite the opposites. Conjunctio oppositorum. Trust the process. Bye bye.